Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the buffed cross-chop variant of the Barbaracle in the Spring Cup. This Pokemon honestly is kind of funny. It was not my idea to use it. Like a long-term viewer tagged me on Twitter, basically more jokingly, that I should take a look at this Pokemon, and here we are. So yeah, thanks for that. Also shouts to everyone who comments on my videos and likes, of course, and subscribes. But of course I actually read basically all the comments that I get on videos. I don't always answer on them, of course, but like never, if you write a comment, don't feel like I don't read it. I usually read every comment on every video, so shouts to you. Definitely very cool here to see viewers suggesting something as well. But yeah, we're gonna take a look at Barbaracle today, and this Pokemon was honestly way better than I expected. Like, this Pokemon was something where I was like, yeah, okay, maybe it's okay, maybe you can play it, but honestly, I went 8-4 with this team, and I climbed up. Honestly, let me see real quick where I climbed up to. I can still open my game on the side real quick and see where I was ending up with this one. Definitely really high elo, 381, which is really nice right now. So this team kind of climbed me like 60 points or whatever in high elo already, which is really cool. And this kind of showcased that Barbaracle actually has quite a lot of play in this meta. This is kind of funny because it's a meta around water plus grass type Pokemon, and neither of which Barbaracle should be very decent against. But if we take a look at what water type Pokemon and what grass type Pokemon, usually neither of them really do water type / grass type damage, which is kind of funny. So Barbaracle actually has a lot of play against the current meta, as a lot of them are just not really that great in terms of doing damage against Barbaracle, and also Barbaracle has great coverage against the current meta. Pokemon like the Abomasnow doesn't like Cross Chop, doesn't like the Fast Move, doesn't like Stone Edge, and also resists the Fast Move plus a Weather Ball, which is kinda wild. Pokemon like Ferrothorn, you have super effective coverage with Cross Chop. Pokemon like Empoleon, you have super effective coverage with Cross Chop. And so this Pokemon actually has so much play in the current meta, which is so funny, and we had like also quite a few very decent sweeps of this Pokemon as well. Here we had some lag as well, which is really unfortunate because otherwise I think we would have been able to farm down, but we had like those frame drops which you saw before as well. But we can still reach another Stone Edge here, getting off a ton of damage against them, so we can farm them down and we can knock them out with our Weezing. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have the Roserade here in the lead this time around. I decided to swap out, they decided to swap out. It's going to be a Ferrothorn, which is really not ideal for us, but I'm just going to decide to go straight for the overheat, not baiting at all, and it worked out. The opponent let this move go through, and this was a huge mistake. And now I'm going to go for the bait, because I know that the opponent thinks, oh, he must go for the overheat next, and no, I do not. And so I was able to get a shield, a knockout, and I can still get this overheat off. I should be able to survive a Weather Ball, and I will be able to survive a Weather Ball. And so either I can get 2 knockouts and 1 shield, or I get 2 shields on 1 knockout, and I'm totally okay with that, because now we can go back into Barbaracle. Basically 99% it's going to be a bait, which would be double resisted by us, but we don't really want to risk it at all either. And so in comes now the opponent's Lantern. I still have a shield left, I still have a Stone Edge stored, and so I can just keep my shield, knock out the Roserade later on, and this should be good for us. We're going to be able to let this Thunderbolt go through onto our Tropius. Tropius, of course, is a little bit tricky to get for you. There are other options that you could try. I would imagine that something like Trevenant would also most likely work out pretty well for this team. But yeah, Tropius is very cool for this team as well. Maybe even Jumpluff would work, I'm not too sure. But here we're going to easily be able to win this game. They're going to go for a Weather Ball, I go for the Stone Edge, and so this game is over. Easy knockout here, and we can move on into the next game, while the opponent, I guess, forfeited this game as well, which is kind of funny. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Next opponent, a very interesting lead. It's going to be Morale. Morale has a fire type fast move, and Morale is going to be double resisted basically from us, as this is going to be also a great matchup. They're gonna swap out into the Araquanid, and honestly I make a little bit of a mistake maybe here. I should have not went to my Tropius, I should have went into my Weezing, because Weezing is going to be able to resist the fast move as well, plus Bug Buzz, so this was kind of silly by me. Weezing would have been the better shot, especially there, as I would have been able to just go up to 100 energy, would have got to overheat, and maybe even 2 overheats against the Morguiere. So this was not the ideal play. For sure, go Weezing next time. Hopefully this is not going to punish us later on, but we will find out shortly, as we can reach another charge move here. Gonna get the Morguiere fairly low, and so they're gonna be definitely in cross-chop range. The opponent is staying in here actually as well, and so they either have to use a shield or they're gonna go down, and they decide to use a shield here, which I'm fine with. I can use a shield as well, even if it's a power punch. I'm totally going to be okay with that, as the opponent is going to reveal their final Pokemon, being the Ferrothorn. And I see here right now that the opponent is running Mirror Shot, and so I can go for one cross chop here, and I have to try to get the final shield from the opponent. And it worked immediately, and so I can swap out into my Weezing, and I don't even have to shield here because the opponent already revealed their moveset, so they don't have Flash Cannon, and so we are going to be able to reach this overheat in time. And this is going to be basically it for this game as well, because the Morguiere has nowhere to go. We can't even reach another overheat, and so this is going to be a very good game. Again, this team was awesome. Next opponent, we're going to have here a great name, by the way, from this opponent. We're going to see a Horrible lead for us, which is going to be the Ferrothorn. And I kind of want to see here how much damage our cross chop is really going to do. And here we're going to see the issue for the Barbaracle. Barbaracle would have liked to be a Shadow Pokemon. There are several matchups where you just miss out a little bit in terms of the damage in order to really, basically knock out an opponent. For example, against the Shadow variant of Empoleon, you would be able to most likely knock them out with a little bit of Fury Color damage, plus the cross chop if you were Shadow, but sadly, there is currently no Shadow Barbaracle available in this game, and so, yeah, this Pokemon is going to be, sadly, not capable of two-shotting a Ferrothorn or one-shotting something like the Empoleon. I don't even think that this is going to one-shot them from this range. Let's see. It is not, and they can survive this, and usually you would be able to farm down in time here, but again, I think we had a little bit of a frame drop there, which allows us not to do this, and this is going to be very impactful, because now we have one less shield, and this one less shield is going to be very bad for us, because otherwise we would have just been able to one-shot the opponent's Dugong, and not really going to be happy about this here right now. The opponent even let this move go through, which is kind of ballsy, because I think a Stone Edge would have one-shot, but it is what it is. But something that I have to say about Barbaracle is that it actually does not have the highest attack stat. Like, I was always thinking, okay, it's like an insanely squishy Pokemon. I think it's like only really known to be that squishy because of the type combination that this has, because water and also rock has a lot of weaknesses, like double weakness to ground, double weakness to fighting, 4 times weakness to grass. Like, there are so many weaknesses to this one, like double weakness to electric as well. Like, there are so many weaknesses that it is most likely going to not survive too many moves. Here, sadly, you just barely miss out on the knockout, and so it's going to be sadly a loss. But again, I think if we would have been able to farm them down and get the extra shield, we would have been most likely fine. But yeah, I have to say, especially with like one-turn fast moves recently, I had a lot of lag with them, which is kind of sad, which is really impacting also the performance of Barbaracle. But still, again, like, this team was still a lot of fun to play. And here we're gonna see the Empoleon, and in comes here the Trevenant. Trevenant, of course, has Shadow Ball, which is going to hurt quite a bit, but I should be able to let this move go shielded, interestingly enough. Okay, I was actually not really expecting that I would do this, but it is still going to be okay, because we're gonna get a ton of energy here, and so we're gonna be okay here anyway. The opponent is gonna go down here. Trevenant is gonna go down against our Tropius. We still can reach a Leaf Blade against the opponent's Empoleon. We have a ton of energy here as well. We might even reach another one afterwards, and the opponent actually going to decide to use a shield, which is gonna be great, as we're gonna try to reach another Leaf Blade, but they're gonna go for their own charge move, which is going to take the knockout here, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Barbaracle can maybe retaliate with this cross chop as they are Shadow. It is going to be enough, and they're going to have in the back the Roserade, and so Weezing easily going to be able to still reach an overheat to completely annihilate the opponent. Weezing was overheating everything today. All the grass types did already appreciate it, and so this is going to be a very good game. Moving on to the next one, we're going to have a Roserade in the lead, and we're going to see here something unfortunate as the opponent solves out into the Empoleon. I don't want this, I don't like this, and this is even worse now, because I wanted to go for the overheat then instead, but now I decided to go for the brutal swing, as the opponent did go actually for the CMP type, but luckily they used a shield anyway. But yeah, if I knew that they would swap out, I would have rather stayed in with my Barbaracle, because we would have had a very neutral matchup with that Pokemon. But like this, we can still maybe come back from it, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough one. We can see here the cross chop going to be able to connect against them. And again, like if we were Shadow, we most likely would have been able to knock them out at this point. But we're still forced to go for another charge move, which is going to get shielded, which I'm okay with. I tried to catch the move here, did not work out. And so we are in a very tough spot. They can go for the Drill Peck and they're swapping out into the Dugong. It's going to be even worse for us now. Getting completely hardwalled. There's no way really back from this unless the opponent screws up here. We will get to another charge move, which I was not planning on getting to, but we survive with a 1 HP with our Tropius. In comes the Roserade. I know that they're gonna go for the Weather Ball first, which is going to be double resisted, but I cannot really risk it because I know that they're still gonna have the other Pokemon, the opponent, in the back with a lot of fast move pressure. But is one Stone Edge enough to knock out the opponent's Roserade? It is, and so we can take this knockout. In comes the Empoleon, in comes a cross chop, and Barbaracle is going to be able to make the miracle work. And let's move on to the second to last game for today. Worst possible lead, basically. We kind of want to swap out eventually, but yeah, we had a little bit of lag in the beginning as well. As you saw, the reconnection, I feel like I lost like one fast move of that as well. But we're actually going to be able to catch a move, which is kind of great, and we're going to get out the Lantern. Funny enough, actually, like about my last Spring Cup video, people were like, oh my god, you're so weak against Lantern with that team. It was like in the ABB style line with Ferrothorn lead, which is the hardest wall to Lantern, which is kind of funny. The Chaser of Quillfish and the Pelipper in the back. Like, people have to understand what an ABB line is. This, by the way, here that we're playing is an ABC line, because we kind of have very different kind of Pokemon. Like the Tropius is basically a perfect fit with the weaknesses of our lead, because, for example, Ice is going to be great for our lead, while for Tropius it doesn't really fit it, while our lead does struggle against those Grass-type Pokemon as well as Fighting-type Pokemon. Of course, Tropius is great against it, but basically, ABB lines are always functioning that you kind of want to swap out from your lead, want to try to bait out the Pokemon that you're closer. For example, on the team last time would have been Pelipper, would be weak to, and you kind of want to bait it out with your Sasop. For that other team would be Quillfish, and so you would never face it with the Pelipper in the back, and you still have your lead, which is a complete hard wall to that Pokemon. But I guess some people still don't really understand the principle of that. I maybe want to make a video about the different styles of teams. Maybe next week. I have to see if I find time for this, and I have to find some kind of concept for this to showcase it, because it's always a little bit difficult to make this a little bit more interesting to look at. But yeah, definitely team styles are important. To understand how team styles work are definitely also very important. But yeah, here we're going to see the opponent is going to still have the Ferrothorn. I'm going to just forfeit this game again. Was very unfortunate to have two grass types against our Barbaracle, but let's move on to the final one of today. Matchup against the Empoleon, again here in the lead. We're going to have our buffed cross chop, which is going to chomp through the opponent. This is going to be kind of nice for us. As we see here, it's going to be a two-shot. Again, if we were Shadow and the opponent would be Shadow, we might be able to one-shot them. But it is what it is. We're going to see that we can still reach our next cross chop in time as they swap out into a Tropius. Great play by them. And here I was not really sure what I wanted to do. I wanted to most likely catch a move here, and I decided to catch it on my Tropius. In hindsight, maybe I should have went into my Weezing instead, because it's still here going to be super effective damage against us. We were able to catch a double resisted move, but the fast move still can chunk quite a bit. So maybe this was a misplay. But we will find out shortly if that actually was a misplay, because now we can go for the own aerial ace, and I can still go for the full farm down. If they swap back into the Empoleon, which they're going to decide to do here, I can still reach another move, I thought, but no, they decided to go for their own charge move, which is also totally fine, because we have so much energy on our Barbaracle that we have to hope that we can still win this game. Let's see what we can do here. In comes, of course, the first cross chop. The opponent decides to go ahead and let this move go through. They have a Trevenant in the back, which is a little bit annoying because we have a shield disadvantage, and usually this would be a great matchup for our Weezing, but with a shield disadvantage it is just not really great for us, so we have to hope that they're going to decide to use both shields onto our Weezing, because otherwise we have no chance of really winning this game. Let's see if we can actually still make it happen. We will see the Brutal Swing coming through. They use both shields here, and now I have to hope that Barbaracle is strong enough to one-shot them with one Stone Edge. Let's find out here. Is it enough to knock them out? It's going to be so close. Boom, it is enough and we can win this game. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I see you then. Bye bye.